Okay, guys, let's check this one out now. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and just start right off with step one, which is drawing in our given information. So if I've got AD is congruent to CD, I want to go ahead and mark that AD and CD are congruent. Now I also have angle ADB. ADB, which is right here, is going to be congruent to angle CDB, which is right here. Okay, and so we have those two angles that are congruent. Okay, so now if we look at what we want to prove is congruent, we want this angle A to be equal to this angle C. And so similar to what we did in proof number one, we need to prove that the two triangles are congruent. Okay, so this triangle here, ABD, and then this triangle here, CBD. If we can prove that those are congruent, then we can prove that corresponding sides are congruent. So let's go ahead and write our final step. Angle A is congruent to angle C. Okay, so angle A is congruent to angle C. And then our piece of evidence for this is going to be that we did this in the last one. We said that corresponding angles. And so corresponding angles, we would say corresponding angles of congruent triangles are congruent. I'm just going to say corresponding angles are congruent, because all of that other stuff sounds a little bit confusing. So let's take that and we'll shrink that down and we'll kind of make that our last little step there. Okay, good. So in order to prove that, we said in order to prove that A and C are congruent, we need to prove that the big triangles are congruent. So we need ABD, okay? So we need to say that triangle ABD, sorry if that's sloppy, is congruent to triangle, and we look up here, is going to be CBD. Okay, so triangle CBD. Okay, now we need a piece of evidence for that. So let's look up here what we already have. I've got a side and an angle, and it looks like I'm going to be able to prove that third side, or that second side of BD. So this looks like it's going to be side, angle, side again. Okay, so if we can prove that piece, the side angle side piece there, then we can prove so if we can prove that, then we can also prove that, which will be great. So what do we need to prove the two triangles? Well, we don't have side angle side yet, but if I happen to have this mark, then I would have side angle side. So what does that mark mean? That means that segment BD is congruent to segment BD. Seems pretty simple, pretty obvious, but we do know that we need to go ahead and write down the step of proof anyway, and the evidence for that, as we've done a few times now, is going to be reflexive. So really this is very similar to a bunch of things that we've already done, but we're just asking you to take that next step of, instead of just proving that triangles are congruent, we're going to prove that the two corresponding parts of the triangle are congruent after we prove the congruency. So let's write in our very last step is what they wanted to know. They wanted to know that that angle is congruent to that angle, which we now can say because we have proof. We've got the proof of the triangles. So this proves that. And then this was our evidence when we combine it with our given evidence to go ahead and prove that those two triangles are congruent. Okay, so there is the proof for that one.